We're going to do a quick breakdown of the face. When you're drawing the face, we actually use the unit of an eye to get our proper proportions. So over here to the left, let's draw a height line and divide this into 7 increments that are equally the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Because your head is going to be 7 eyes tall. Okay, so when you're measuring a person, if you're doing a figure, you measure the figure with heads, right? A person is 8 heads tall if you're drawing an adult. If you're drawing a face, you're using an eye, and your head is going to be 7 eyes tall. Our units are our body parts. Okay, so that is the height of one eye standing upright. Okay, so this first mark is actually the top of the head. And this bottom part is our chin. Okay, so if you want to mark that in on your paper to get your boundaries so you know what you can't go outside of. Okay, so I'm going to draw this head kind of large so you can see what's happening. But in our project, our faces on our figure are fairly small, right? We have a little figure. If I'm drawing my 3 main masses, we have our cranium, we have our mid-rib cage, we have our pelvis, right? And then, of course, you have your arms and legs doing all sorts of fun things and posing. The problem is our head is so tiny, it's hard to get a lot of detail in. So a couple things you want to pay attention to, and the first one is your eye line, and your eye line actually sits right in the very middle of your head. So you're going to find the center of your first main mass, your head. If we come over to our boundaries between the top of the head and the chin, that actually will intersect right here at 3.5. If you're doing your math, right, between 1 and 7. Okay, or if you divide 7 in half, you get 3.5. This is our eye line. Our eyes are going to be placed right there, up and down. Okay, we're doing vertical proportions first. Where do they go? Up and down on the face. The next thing that you want to pay attention to is your nose. Now, your nose actually falls right here on eye number 5, which is not quite halfway, right? If you take your eyes in your chin, your nose line is a little bit higher up. In fact, halfway would be like 5.25 if you divide 3.5 and 7. If you're a mathematician, 1/2 would probably be about right here. So when you're drawing it on your little tiny person, you can find the halfway mark, which might line up about here on the face, and then just go a little bit above that and say my nose is going to come down to about right there. Okay, so just push it a little bit above half, and you will get close enough to the right placement. Because your eyes are halfway, and your nose are a little bit above halfway between the eye and chin. If you want to write yourself a little note here off to the side. Okay, the eyes are halfway between the top of the head and the chin, to be more specific. Okay, sometimes it helps to see that in writing if you have to go back and redo it on your own. Okay, the mouth is a little bit trickier. We have to pull out our high fashion fraction 1/3, and we're going to take this section between the nose and the chin. Okay, I'm going to change my color here so you can see it a little better. And we're going to break this into 3 equal increments. Okay, our mouth is on this top third. So right here is where our mouth is going to be placed. It's in the top third, or 1/3 down from nose. Okay, so our mouth is going to sit somewhere at this distance on our face. Okay, so on our little guy, you can imagine, okay, here's my nose line, here's my chin. If I break this length into thirds, or if you're really good at eyeballing it, that's fine too. My mouth is going to sit somewhere right here. Okay, and then we're going to find how wide the face is. So we're using eyes. The eye or the head is 7 eyes long and it's 5 eyes wide. So we're going to take this increment up here at the top and we're going to swing it up, make sure it's the same length, otherwise your head is going to be either stretched long or stretched wide. And you're doing 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot have a head go outside of this 5th boundary line. Okay, so that's going to be the edge of my head. So on your figure, what you're going to do is divide your eye line over here on the right into 5 equal increments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then your 2 eyes fit in between eye 1 and 2 and between eye 3 and 4. So I personally like to kind of dot it down to make sure I get it right in the middle. So I'm going to come all the way down to my eye line and my eye is going to fit right in here in those 2 sections. Okay, then you have proper placement for your eye. Now, at this tiny scale, I am not going to see individual little details. I'm not going to see eyelashes. I'm not going to see wrinkles and crinkles in my eyelid. I'm not going to see little veins in my eye. I might not even see little sparkles or color in my eye because it's so stinking tiny. So when we're doing something this small, the only thing you're going to include are shadows. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it basic. We're, in fact, not even going to draw a full eye, like an oval or a leaf or a football, however you want to describe that. What we're going to do instead is draw the top eyelid because it faces down. It's going to catch a lot of shadow. Okay, so you're going to just draw the top of it. Then you're going to draw the colored part of your eye coming down from that section. If you have enough room, it helps to put a little sparkle in your eye to help capture attention. But you might not have enough room to show that sparkle at a tiny scale. Okay, it might just be sparkle free, kind of like this on this right eye. Okay, and that is all you need for a face this tiny. Your brain will complete the rest of the picture. So if I come in here on my little tiny guy to put in a little tiny baby eye, I'm doing the top eyelid and the colored pupil. That's all you need. Okay, so essentially what we're going to be doing is making a glorified smiley face, right? Normally when you do a smiley face, most people go like this, right? We're converting that into something more sophisticated because this does not look natural, right? That's not how we look in life. I'm not sure how that originated, but it's out there. Okay, so our dotted eyes now turn into our little rainbows with dots. Okay, next our nose fits in between our eyes. So if you dot down from the center of your eyes, it's going to fit in between this section, come all the way down to the nose line. We're only drawing the shadows, so the opening in our nose, the nostrils, is our first shadow part, the dark section of the nose. They tend to look like little bending teardrops that lay on their side. And the wings, so this crease that comes out and around, kind of like that, that's all you need for a nose to make it pop out. Okay, so over here on my little tiny guy, right in this section between my 2 eyes, I'm going to suggest the openings and the wings. Okay, no carrot noses. We're not drawing Frosty the Snowman, even though my little girl would love to draw Frosty the Snowman every single day, 24/7. Okay, our mouth is 2 eyes wide, so we're going to take the length of the nose and then add a half to the right and add a half to the left, or you can just take the center of your pupils, dot down to your mouth line, and your mouth is going to sit here. The only thing is your mouth pushes out, right? Your teeth curve. Your teeth are not flat. So you have to have a curving line here because behind it there is a dome or a curving surface. So instead of doing a straight line across, we're going to arc it down just a wee bit to get the split of the lip. Sometimes it helps if you have room to put in like a little arrow on both sides to help push that lip around the dome underlying it. And then right under your lower lip, you're going to put a shadow or a line like that. That's the only thing you need. Okay, so at a tiny scale, let's see how much I can fit in. I'm going to curve it just a bit. I might not even have room for the little arrows, and then I'll just put a little bit of a shadow right underneath the split of the lip like that to represent my mouth. Okay, below that we have a chin. Our chin is one eye wide, so it's the same width as the nose, and it's going to sit right in here. Okay, so kind of find that chin just a little bit so you know where your high points are going to be on the face. Okay, once you get your eyes, nose, mouth, chin, then we're going to work our way back up the face to find our eyebrows and our hair. So you can't find anything hairy until the very end because we're going to use something called the rule of thirds. Okay, there's two rules of thirds. There's one that applies to the face, and the rule of thirds says that your face is divided into 3 equal thirds. The first third is from your chin to your nose. Okay, so from eye 7 to 5, this is your first third. Go 2 more eyes up, so from 5 to eye 3 here on the side, that's the second third. Right here at the second third, we have our eyebrows. Okay, so if you draw a line across, our eyebrows sit right in here. And then another third up from that, from eye 3 to 1, here over on the left side. This is the last third. This is where our hair goes. Okay, so our hair grows up from this one eye line when we start to do hair. Now, once you find your rule of thirds on your face features are actually done. We don't need to do anything more. It still looks a little bit awkward, right? Here and here, because we haven't put any form in the cheeks or the face or the head. Right now, we're fancy features on a flat circle, kind of like this smiley face over here, right? It's like a piece of paper cut out. In fact, we look kind of like a lollipop face right now. We do have to give it form in order for it to look natural. You do this by finding planes of the face. Your head is like one big block, and you do or you find the planes of the face by using high points. And you have 4 high points on your bones across your face. So the first high point is found right here on the edge of the eyebrows, lined up with the edge of the eye. Okay, so this is your first high point. Your second high point is down here on your cheekbone, right below it. In fact, if you connect these 2 dots and move around your eye, you're forming the round curve of the bone, right? Your bone has like this a socket, right, where your eyeball fits into. If you're looking at the bone structure, you're working the outside of this eye socket. Okay. The third high point is down here on the edge of your chin. So to connect this, we can't just draw a straight line across because you'll be cutting into the mouth. So you have to work your way down and around the mouth because of the dome, those teeth underline the lips. Okay. Then the last high point is back here on your jaw. It sits on this outside frame of your face and it lines up with the split of the lip line. So it's going to be about right here, lined up with the split of the lip, lined up with the edge of your head. Then you pull back a straight line to connect the dots to your chin. Then you go straight up your head, rounded at the top, right? Your cranium is rounded, and then come straight back down to that original point. Okay, that is one side of your head. Most likely this side will catch shadow because it's further away. So you do want to shade it a little bit to push it back. Okay, you do have a cheek plane That's what this is called, your cheek plane on both sides. So I'm going to do the same thing over here on the right. Find my high points. Connect the dots. Trying to keep it as symmetrical as I can. Round it at the top, bring it back down to my original plane. And then of course this side would also catch some shadow. Okay, so very important, don't forget to put in some shadows on the planes, the sides of your head. Okay, so we do need shading on the cheek planes. These cheek planes will match the sides of your nose because your nose will stick out too. So whatever value is here on the side, you're going to make it match on the same side of the nose. Whatever value is over here on the left, you're going to make it match on the left side of the nose. To make sure that nose looks like it's popping and pushing out. And then the last thing are underplanes, and those will be the darkest. So right here above your eye, next to your nose, this is one of the darkest sections on your face. Okay, so you're going to go dark here and then kind of fade it out. It doesn't always stretch dark all the way across, but it is going to be dark here on this inside corner of the eye on the top. Almost like you're putting eyeshadow on a person. You can just kind of think eyeshadow. Kind of push it. It helps it push down and face the floor. Okay. You will also see some dark shading right here at the base of the nose because this section faces the ground as well. Okay. We already have a little bit under the lip, and you might have a little bit under the chin. And that's really all you need for the features of the face. So if I do this over here on my little tiny person off to the side, I want to make sure I shade the cheek plane. Okay, finding those points. And then shade my little planes facing down. Okay, and that's all you need. Now, if you want to put ears on, which is kind of helpful, right? It's all a little awkward without ears. Ears sit between your eye line and your nose line, so your ear goes right in here. Okay, they are sitting on your cheek plane, so whatever color your cheek plane is, you want to make sure your ears kind of match that same style. Okay, you might not see lots of detail in the ears. Maybe you'll see a little dark spot and a little curl. And that's about it. Okay, so keep it light on the edge, middle gray, and then kind of dark in the middle at such a tiny scale. Okay. Now, to connect this down into what we have done, right? We did a body with bones and muscles. We need to connect it down into our muscles, the clavicle bone, the trapezius, the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So what we're going to do here for the neck, we're going to extend this side measurement down 2 more eyes. So eye 8 and eye 9. Right here at eye level 9, this is where that little divot in your neck is placed. Okay, it's down here at eye number 9. Your clavicle bones grow out from there, right? We did that a couple weeks ago. The thickness of your neck usually is about 4 eyes wide. So you want to find the space between your eye and the outside of your head. So about right here where your plane pulls around your eye, that's kind of my reference or point of reference when I'm drawing my neck. I'll pull that down and say, okay, my neck is going to be about this wide. I know my sternocleidomastoid muscles come out of this little divot and roll around and connect back here behind where my jaw touches my cranium. I cannot see it in the front view. I know that my trapezius muscles also connect back here and make their way out to my shoulders, right, to get that angle in my neck. Okay, and then of course I have my sternum bone here that comes down, and then I have my pecs that come out if I start to put muscles on things, right? I might have a shirt that overlays some of it. So I might not see all of this if I'm clothing my figure, but I will see a lot of what's happening here in the neck. So if I come to shade it, just make sure you're shading where that muscle connects, keeping it highlighted in the middle. Wherever it connects to the bone, you want to fill it in. Wherever it faces up, you want to keep it lighter. Okay, so you could go through and all this skin that's exposed and not covered by the shirt, add a little bit of value. It tends to be a little darker right under the chin because the chin casts some shadows down onto your neck. And then if you're doing a gentleman or anything that you want to look masculine, the guys tend to have a little Adam's apple here that pulls out, so you want to try to keep it a little bit lighter here in a circle to make it look more masculine if you are doing a gentleman. Okay, so just keep in mind the Adam's apple will pop out about right there. Okay, so that's how it connects down into what we've done here on the portrait. So I would continue to connect this down to make my little guy look more natural as I fill out my lower body. Okay. Now, if you want to do anyone with hair, I want you to keep it simple. You're just following single strands of hair. If this is my hairline, I'm coming either up and down, maybe my hair is falling to the side, and you're going to imitate this like a single strand of hair at a time. If you're doing something long and flowy, you also can think about it in chunks. So maybe that's one chunk, and then I have some hair coming down on this side, and that's another chunk. Maybe I have some hair coming up and then falling behind. This is a third chunk. Maybe I have a fourth chunk coming up and falling behind to the back of my head. And that's a third chunk. So you're going to kind of chunk it. And then at the base of every chunk, you're going to try to establish some darker shadows. So my first chunk might have a shadow facing the ground. This chunk might have a shadow kind of closer to the face. This chunk might have a shadow right against my first chunk. And you're going to just use a series of lines to texture and create shadows and highlights in a hair situation. Okay. Sometimes people will come in and try to erase single strands of hair. If you can do that with a good eraser, that might be kind of hard with our colored pencil technique. So you might have to use like a light pencil and then a darker pencil. But you want to be thinking of the chunks and the hunks with the flow of the hair. So right now I'm drawing straight hair. If I was doing something that had curly or waves in it, you're wanting to draw wavy or curly lines because you're always imitating what the hair is doing. Okay? If you're doing shorter hair, you just don't go as long. So if I have more of a buzz cut on a gentleman, I'm keeping my line shorter. I'm going off the head, right? Because my hair has volume, texturing it. The top of the head's going to catch more light than the part here in the front around the face. So I want to try to make it darker here around the face. Try to catch some highlights here on the top, maybe using my eraser or my lighter colors to give it a textural effect. Okay, straight hair, or if I was doing curly hair, maybe I would use some arcing lines instead of straight lines to make it look more curly, and then of course layering it and making it darker on the chunk that's away from the sun. So think of it as a form in order to get the illusion of hair. Okay, and then again, if you want more detail, you can watch more detailed videos on Schoology. Okay, and that's our crash course on faces, hair, neck. Are there any questions?